listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm really delighted to welcome back to the show. He's no stranger. SiriusXM host and author of the New York Times bestseller, Separation of Church and Hate, the one, the only John Fugelsang. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Dr. Quartey, what an honor. Thank you so much for, again, lowering your standards enough to have me back on to defile your airwaves. Very, very happy 250th 4th of July. Regardless of how you feel about it, I hope you have a happy weekend because it'll make the haters angry.
That's right. That's the way to think about it, John. Let's start in Colorado because I think what happened this week is one of the most significant political stories that nobody outside of the political junkie bubble is really talking about yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Nii-Quartelai, a 29-year-old Ethiopian-born attorney and Democratic socialist, defeated 15-term incumbent Representative Diane DeGette in Colorado's first congressional district. DeGette has represented Denver since 1997. Months before Quiros was even born. And now this is not some random fluke. Quiros is the seventh House member to lose renomination this cycle and the third in just 7 days, following two other that Mamdani backed. Those Democratic socialists that he backed, who dethroned incumbents in New York City.
Dan Goldman.
That's right.
11 points.
That's right. And per our friends over at The Guardian, Quiros is poised to become the first Gen Z woman elected to Congress. Her victory speech.
I think the first person born after the invention of email elected to Congress.
Right. So if we said, you got mail, I don't know if she would quite understand the reference, but her victory speech line, it really struck a nerve with me. She said, quote, "This is a movement and we're just getting started." John, you spent years watching the theater of American politics up close. Is this actually a movement, or is this just three loud data points that cable news is going to turn into a trend piece?
Hang on, let me go ask the highest young person turnout mayor in New York City's history, Zohran Mamdani, about that, if you will. Look, this is the thing. All reform we've ever witnessed in this country came after periods of terrible strife. And just as bad things follow good things follow bad things, right? And we can look at all the things that Bill Clinton tried to do to reform after 12 years of trickle-down economics collapsed. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were so awful that Barack Obama was able to pass legislation that led to the lowest amount of uninsured people in the country's history, right? Joe Biden's first 2 years, probably the two greatest years of any president I've ever seen in my lifetime in terms of just sheer volume of stuff done for non-millionaires. And it only happened because Donald Trump had set the entire place on fire and sunk it. So I think that whenever we have these periods of great strife and tragedy, it's always a wonderful opportunity for real reform. And somewhere, I love this story, Doctor, because somewhere, some high-paid Democratic consultant saw this and fainted on top of their focus group, right? This is their worst nightmare. Oh no, the voters have escaped the messaging. This is not Democratic politics as usual. We still have, with all due respect, a lot of Clinton-era neoliberal 1990, let's be just like the Republicans, but talk a good game on the environment and be nice to the gays. And somehow that's going to make it the same. And this has been the struggle within the left. And I'm not a Democrat, but the problem with the party is the never-ending civil war between the Hillary's friends and Bernie's friends, right? This is the Democratic Party, this nonstop game of screw you for only agreeing with me on 85% of issues. And this is why they keep fighting each other, and it's what fascists need. You know this. The fascists need us to fight. But this is so inspiring because this woman has never lived in a world where Diana DeGette wasn't in Congress. And every political era eventually gets the politicians it deserves. The Great Depression got FDR, and the Gilded Age got the progressives, and the civil rights got this most unlikely racist president who became the greatest hero of civil rights of all time. But history is going to keep on repeating itself because inequality keeps insisting on a sequel. So they can only tap dance so long before the fact is The rent is too damn high. And
Mm.
this is what made Bernie Sanders so popular. And this is what made Donald Trump so popular, except he was lying and just trying to sell a thing to racists. So we should get really used to seeing Democratic leadership very nervous because the ghost of FDR has taken over the party again. And young people are leading the way. And it's the only thing that will save this party and will save the middle class.
I really want to pick up on something that you said in reference to what I call the consultant class.
Yes.
I've talked at length about this on air and off air. I'll talk about anybody who wants to tell the truth. But the reality is that, there are consultants that most voters will never meet.
Yes.
Whose fingerprints are on, so many things that elected leaders and candidates are saying and promising and doing. And it seems to me that the American voters, particularly Democratic voters, have an appetite, for something fresh, something,
yes, sir.
Some imagination. And it seems to me that at least is a part of the equation. It's a part of why, there's this sense of underwhelm that a lot of Democratic voters just can't seem to shake. I want to give you an opportunity to just sort of, share your thoughts about the consultant class. And
Amen. I mean, the consultant class are the reason Hillary Clinton lost.
And if you were speaking to the Democratic leadership in the House, in the Senate, in state houses, across the country, what would you say to them about the consultant class and reforms to the consultant class?
Sure. Look, I appreciate the fact, especially after the week the Supreme Court had, that bribery is legal and you're going to have to hire experts to help you beat dark money for the rest of our lives because the oligarch billionaire class doesn't believe in government. And I don't think people have realized yet they're trying to phase out government itself and just let rich guys run countries. That's what that seems to be the goal here. That seems to be what Project 2025 is leading us towards. It's strongman politics, but with tech bros. It's insanity. But Hillary Clinton got more votes than Donald Trump and probably would have been president, would have made it if she had had a better consultant than Mark Penn, giving her terrible advice to alienate young people and working people. The deal is these consultants spend millions of dollars to discover that voters don't like inflation. It's incredible, right? They'll take all this money and fly on private jets so they can come back and say, yeah, you know what? People can't pay the rent. Who knew? And they're all saying the donor class, voters are moving left. They're not moving left. They're going to move, and I include conservative brothers and sisters here. They're going to move toward whoever acknowledges the receipt from the supermarket. Donald Trump pretended he was the one who cared about the receipt from the supermarket. He certainly did not. Some Democrats really mean it. Look at Bernie Sanders. Whatever you think of Senator Sanders objectively, if Hillary Clinton had picked that man and the enthusiasm behind him as her running mate in 2016 instead of whoever she picked and no one can remember, Donald Trump's first term wouldn't have happened. People don't want another well-intentioned Democratic Party task force. They want a damn paycheck. It's not a socialist revolution. It's an affordability revolution, Doctor. People are tired of hearing on paper how great the recovery is and the GDP is booming and Wall Street's doing great while people are choosing between food, medicine, and rent. Pick two.
That's right. No, I think you're absolutely right. And, these consultants are, running away with the bag. They're making millions and millions of dollars. And essentially they are oftentimes recycling the same playbook.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of great consultants out there. There's great organizations out there that help people train and run for office. I'm talking the people that blew it for Hillary. I'm talking these Grey Poupon, champagne sipping, private jet flying aristocrats who are so above all of it. And that's not where greatness comes from. This is an incredible chance to find the next FDR. I mean, it has to happen because it's either going to keep on getting worse until it breaks. And I'd like to see the reform part start happening now.
Yeah, so, but we don't even have to go back that far because I'm sure, if you didn't read the DNC autopsy, I'm sure you certainly, heard about it, And, there are a lot of folks in the party that are still deeply concerned that some of the folks that were calling the shots on those presidential campaigns, that, some of those folks, are still hireable. Some of those folks, are still profiting, off of that. And so,
everybody who lied us into the Iraq War is still profiting off of it.
You're right.
Yeah.
And we can't heal what we don't talk about.
Yes,
we
sir.
can't heal what we don't talk about. And so I certainly hope folks in the Democratic Party don't just talk about it, but implement some reforms. So that Democrats actually have new blood and new energy and young people in leadership roles to be able to move the party forward.
Exactly. But we know what's going to happen now, right? Like, this is not socialism, right? None of this is actual socialism. No one's calling for the government taking over a private industry. No one's saying workers control the means of production, right? Like this is democratic socialism. This is like Dwight Eisenhower, okay? The last Republican president to balance a budget. Mm-hmm. You want to have a strong safety net and the rich still get to be super rich. And they're going to scream, socialist, you're taking over the party. Most Democratic voters aren't like reading Karl Marx in between episodes of Love Island, like it's only white guys over 50 who are doing this communist talk. People aren't scared of the word socialist. When candidates start sounding like Franklin Roosevelt instead of some McKinsey PowerPoint, again, the consultants lose their mind. But if you take all the labels off the speeches from people like Zohran Mamdani and all of these Democratic Socialist young people candidates, and you just read aloud what the positions are, more than half the country would say that sounds reasonable. We should make housing more affordable. Healthcare shouldn't bankrupt people. Corporations shouldn't own the government. None of this is controversial. That's why I'm also fond of saying that here in New York, Mayor Mamdani, the real reason he enrages them is because on a policy level, he is so much closer to Jesus Christ than the Christians who keep attacking him for being Muslim.
And you would know, because you've written quite a bit about this. I want to encourage folks to check out your book, your best-selling book, Separation, Church and Hate. But you really make a powerful point there. And I oftentimes say on this show that we really have more of a mixed economy than anything else. When people,
yes, sir. No one can admit it.
You want your unemployment benefits and you want them fast. When people transition off of private health insurance on the Medicare, you want it to be seamless. You want quality care.
That's right.
When you go to the post office, there's a reason why, you get to pay less than $1, for a stamp.
That's right.
What you need, where it needs to go, as opposed to going to, UPS or FedEx or some other place. And so the reality is we live in more of a mixed economy.
Totally.
We have allowed folks on the right to distort that and to paint folks that believe in a mixed economy and being some kind of boogeyman.
Yeah, we've always been a blended economy. We are capitalism and we are socialism. And this upsets my capitalist and my socialist friends, but this is the truth. This is how it is. And this is, the smarter societies do that. The smarter societies, you can still get rich in the Scandinavian countries, where all those nice, happy, healthy white people live that aren't angry all the time. Those white people that I like, over there, you can still get rich and you have a safety net and people can go to college and no one has to have a GoFundMe to pay for their kids' surgery. It's nothing new. And this is the struggle that we still find ourselves in. Quiros refused any corporate PAC money, which is in Colorado, which has got to be very confusing for lobbyists. But this is what people want to hear. You remember when Democrats openly attacked concentrated wealth and talked about monopolies and talked about labor unions? Right? Like how did Roosevelt become the radical now? He's on the damn dime. But if your message to working people is the economy's really doing great while they're paying $9 for cereal, let Trump do that this year. Democrats are going to be running on accountability and affordability, and that's going to be a really strong message.
Yeah. And what does it say that the establishment's argument, I have experience, I know how to fight Trump, is losing to the burn it down and start over, even in the bluest of blue districts?
Well, because everyone knows that Trump's on his way out. And so, there's stuff in my fridge that'll last longer than this. And so it's great you can fight Trump, but Trump's not running. So I want to start thinking about the post-Trump era and beyond the Nuremberg Commission, beyond the Truth and Reconciliation Committee we're going to need for all of this. I think I said this on your show last year, Doc. I think that the Democrats who run this year, the ones who are going to really rake in the donations and the votes, are not going to be the ones saying, now we can get back to normal when this is all over with our friends. No, the ones who are going to reel in the almighty donations are going to be the ones promising these cabinet officials, you guys go and commit all the crimes you can right now, and you live it up, and you grift, and you be corrupt. But come January 2027, the Constitution is back. And every one of you rat bastards is going to be testifying with your hands on a Bible in front of a camera about what you've been doing in this administration. And the ones who promise that kind of accountability, I don't want to have committees about something bad was done. I want to see someone who shows up with like robot Merrick Garland and actually makes sure that we scare the racists and fascists back into their hole, and that no one ever tries to own the government and have just a for rent sign on the White House lawn again. I mean, this level of fascism, 90 years ago, Christians of Germany faced a choice. Do we take all this fascism because it flatters us and tells us we're the best, or do we follow Jesus? And I see these white American Christians doing the same thing that the Germans did 90 years ago. We got to scare these fascists away for a long time, Doctor. We got to make it very expensive for people to try to have this kind of easy to bribe government for hire that's also pushing monstrous and fascist policies around the world. I mean, cutting USAID has cost us more than it saved us.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's connect that energy to Maryland Governor Wes Moore, because on the same week that Quiros wins Colorado, Moore is telling Politico something I think is worth unpacking. He's giving a July 4th speech called The Work of Patriotism.
The Work of Patriotism. But he's not running for president, folks. He's not running. Just a July 4th speech called The Work of Patriotism.
Making the case that Democrats cannot cede patriotism to Donald Trump, that love of country isn't loyalty to one man, one party, or one political spectacle. He's drawing a contrast between patriotism, which he says is allegiance to country and people, and nationalism, which is allegiance to a person or a movement. And he said something pointed about Trump directly. He said, I think Trump is going to spend the 250th anniversary of the nation's founding talking about himself.
Exactly.
That America deserves something more. John, as somebody who's built a whole career, got a whole best-selling book around interrogating what Christian nation rhetoric and hyper-nationalism actually do to the soul of this country, is Governor Moore onto something real here? Can Democrats actually win back the flag and win back patriotism as a word after a decade of ceding it?
They have to stop trying to win it back and just act like they own it, because they do. I mean, this was true patriotism, and Governor Wes Moore was exactly right. Trump's going to be celebrating America by talking about himself, and Wes Moore celebrates America by talking about America. And one of those is a very subtle distinction, you know. And again, like it's I love that he's contrasting patriotism with nationalism, as you said. You know, patriotism is God bless America. Nationalism is God bless America and screw you and your family, right? Like you can love your country without making it weird. And I think that's how most of us are. And that's a really smart message for Democrats to meet the moderates who are already going to be very pro-Democrat to begin with. And again, he's clearly running for president. It's delightful watching him say that he's not, but he's also being really smart and telling the Democratic Party that they have to embrace the far left that is surging in the party, as well as the establishment of the party. And that's my message to the party as well. I try to not take sides. I tell you where I stand on issues, but I think Democrats get beaten when, you know, again, when the center and the left fight all the time. And I think Governor Moore is wisely getting ahead of that and warning the Democratic Party about it, because they need us fighting. They need it.
Yeah. When we come forward, we're going to tell you exactly what's been happening behind the curtain of that 250th anniversary that Wes Moore is trying to counter program. And it involves the words wire fraud. More with our friend John Fugelsang when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to be in conversation here with New York Times bestselling author John Fugelsang. If you haven't already, check out his bestselling book, Separation of Church and Hate. You can also listen for him on SiriusXM. Now, John, right before the break, I was talking about Freedom 250 Social Security cards. It turns out that branding isn't just a cute commemorative logo. There's a new congressional report that was released today that has a title that I couldn't make up if I tried. vanity to insanity, how the White House cheated the American people out of their 250th birthday, according to The Guardian. This report, produced by Democratic staff of the House Natural Resources Committee Oversight Subcommittee, they allege that Trump staged a hostile takeover of the nation's 250th anniversary celebration to enrich political allies and harvest voter data and promote Christian nationalist ideology, all rolled through a shadow corporation embedded inside the congressionally chartered National Park Foundation. John, a whole book about the marriage of religion and grievance politics in this country. We know that Christian nationalist programming has been baked in to his birthday party.
Jesus free.
Talk to me about that phrase and about what it means that a celebration meant to unite the country got turned allegedly into a data harvesting fundraising operation with a side of theology.
Well, we already know that. I mean, like you're right, and not a lot of theology here, because Christian nationalism doesn't really have a theology other than God thinks I'm better than you. They don't think they're better than you. They know God thinks they're better than you. These are like religious fundamentalists who've now also decided, we should control the government. And again, Jesus's entire movement is about humility, service to the least fortunate. The last shall be first. It's the opposite of being right-wing, dominating the school board or politics. This has been kind of fun for the past few days to mock on my SiriusXM show every night. I mean, have you seen this thing he's got on the National Mall, this fair? This it's a sad state of a fair, Doctor. It's it looks like somebody rented out the National Mall for a company picnic, and then the company went bankrupt. It's like, I think the biggest attraction is the charging station. You know, I mean, it's sad. There's when the Ferris wheel is waiting on riders instead of riders waiting on a Ferris wheel, you know your little fair is in hospice. And I've been laughing at this for a week now, because it is very pathetic. And he's making it all about himself, which we knew would happen on America's birthday. You know, imagine it's your grandmother's birthday and you spend the whole night being like, "Happy 90th, Grandma. Let me tell you how great I am." And that's what we're sitting at the adults table having to like go through this, right? If anyone is not excited about the 4th of July this year, I understand, and it's okay. You don't have to be proud of America this year when 70 million white folks have given us so many reasons to slap our foreheads. You don't have to celebrate America. You don't have to celebrate how far we've come when it seems we're going back. But please, I beg of everyone, have a good Saturday anyway. Enjoy yourself. Don't let the awful people laughing at the suffering of the poorest, don't let that ruin your day. It doesn't have to be 4th of July. Just have a great Saturday, have a lot of joy, and I will meet you all on the 4th of July in 2029 and party down with you. But in this whole case, to the report you speak of, Doctor, it's nothing we didn't already knew. I mean, he made it about himself. Most toddlers grow out of that phase, but he hijacked America's birthday from Freedom 250, which sounds like an energy drink or a monster truck. I don't know, but it was a fundraising operation. Donors could spend millions for access to the president. I mean, the VIP package to get a picture with it. It's more bribery. They call it historic photo opportunity. This is how the man takes bribes. Like he's at Comic-Con. And we now find out through this report that everyone's getting scanned. So everyone who goes to this thing is having their data scanned, and they'll be getting, I'm sure, all kinds of Trump fundraising apps and emails and texts for the rest of their lives. And we shouldn't be surprised about it. The UFC fight, this bloody violence on the White House lawn, like, this is what they signed up for. They signed up for corruption. They signed up for a guy who stole from vets with a fraud online university. They signed up for a guy who had cops beaten for a lie. These voters signed up for the world's first white trash aristocracy. And that's what has taken over this country's birthday. And like it or not, the country deserves it. If this is what we look like at 250, we deserve it. What are we going to do to make it look better at 300? I did a big speech on my show about every 50 years and all the injustice in this country in 1826. When it was 50 years, all the injustice in this country in 1876, and yet all the people who were fighting, who still believed in this country, people of all backgrounds and economic levels who still believed in America. And we've seen it. And in so many ways, we're better now than we were 50 years ago. Not so much middle-class buying power, but this is the Democratic challenge. The founders could not have imagined this reality show billionaire racist landlord clown bewitching America's Christians, not by promising to do a single thing Christ commands. He won't do any of that. They hate the actual teachings of Christ. He promised to put them first. He sucked up to them, pandered to them, played up to the persecution narrative, and said, I'll put you above others, which is literally the opposite of everything Jesus teaches in the first place. But that's how he seduced them. It isn't because they care about religious freedom. They don't. They don't care about God. They don't care about the teachings of Christ. They're not interested in fighting Satan. Their only goal, the only thing they believe in, is conservative Christian control over society. And the teachings of Jesus threaten that.
Our thanks to John Fugelsang. Everybody go out and
Sorry to get preaching about the Bible, Doctor. Sorry.
Separation of Church and Hate. You can also catch him on SiriusXM. Brother John, we appreciate you. Thank you for your mind, your wit, your heart, all that good stuff that you bring to the front lines of this wildness. Thank you, sir.
Thanks to you for your commitment to excellent broadcasting and very, very sane commentary. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, The Quiet Part Out Loud, as if that wasn't it when we come forward.